We're going live.
Okay. Go.
Hello, students and friends. This is Chris Wager with the Central Asian Productivity Research Center. Welcome you back to our spring lecture series. I'd like to introduce our host and lecturer for today, Professor John Kalaras, founder of Ariston University. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Christopher. Hello, students, faculty, associates, friends all over the world, wherever you're attending this from. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. I will try my best to accommodate all of your requests. I had some special last-minute requests, so the 1 hour presentation may be extended by another 5 or 10 minutes. However, I'm doing this because I want to accommodate the people who requested certain things. Given that, I may be going a little too fast today, which is not my usual pace, but if I do so, please either make a comment, write something, and of course, I definitely welcome questions. You don't have to wait for the end of the presentation to ask your questions. Ask your questions as they come to your mind. I have my assistant here who will be watching them, and I'm looking at them myself, so I'll be accommodating you right away. In addition to that, you will also see on the various slides my email, because again, as I said, if I'm going too fast, email me and say, on that topic, Mr. Kalaras, I want you to explain this or send me this or whatever the case may be. You will see my email multiple times throughout the presentation today. Having said that, let me just share my screen and dive into the presentation so we won't have time to waste. Again, thank you for attending this small presentation on quality. Okay, I'll give you some basic concepts today on how quality functions, what it is, and how it works. But again, I hope you realize that people have authored books over books over books, and universities offer courses, probably even degrees. So we cannot do justice by just taking an hour today to cover the concept of quality. However, we'll try our best to address some of the issues. So basically, this is what we're talking about. Now, obviously, most of you know me as a professor, consultant, business owner, but I'm mainly a practitioner. And if I asked 10 people to give me a definition of quality, they will go to what the different books show, and these are lengthy definitions. Folks, I came up with my own, and by the way, there's the first time that you see my email address. Copy it, email me with everything and anything you want, okay? But here's my definition of quality. You know that you have quality when the customer returns and the product doesn't. I think it's a very profound statement, short, sweet, to the point. Remember, you know that you have quality when the customer returns and the product does not. Now, if you expect something like this out of today's presentation, in other words, a crystal ball to solve all of your quality problems, I'm sure it's not going to happen. But if you want a learnable technique or some learnable techniques and things that have been tested and proven successful, you are in the right place. Okay, so the first thing that I need to address with you folks is that we understand that people see things differently and understand them differently. Look at those two pictorials. Now, why do I bring this up? Simply because when people see things differently and understand them differently, it is proven that they also learn differently. Unfortunately enough, today, this is a presentation. It's not a training session. And we won't have the opportunity to go through all 7 learning styles, but we do apply them in our training sessions. So the quality community, folks, has identified a lot of things, as I said, about quality, and they classified them in levels depending upon how strong your knowledge of quality is. And you probably know the different terminologies that you see there: white belt, yellow belt, green belt, and the like, and the ultimate being the championship belt, which is for executives. Now, there are benefits from quality, and on an overall basis, we will address today these benefits. Now, keep in mind that most of the information that you're going to see today comes out of these two books of mine, Train the Trainer. And most importantly, by the way, both of them are on Amazon. And most importantly, this other book that I pulled out of Amazon, okay, Your Passport to Quality and Success, because I'm doing some updates and it will be back up there again soon. Somebody wants to come in. That's fine. Okay. So moving right along. And here are the books. Okay. As I mentioned, when you implement quality, there are, along with the overall benefits that I mentioned a minute ago, there are specific benefits to customers, organizations, employees, and society. And I will address those specifically next. Again, for the ones who are logging in now, my email address is there for your follow-up questions. I see some questions here. Welcome. Beautiful. Chris Allen, hello. By the way, folks, Chris Allen is an associate of mine, and he is the quality guru that we have nowadays in our society here in Chicago. Hello, Christopher. Moving right along now with the benefits. So benefits to customers. So the first ones who benefit out of a company, an organization having quality is the customers. Why? Because they see higher quality of products or services. They see consistency. They go into the store and they see the same quality, the same standard, the same product, the same service all the time, and that's important. They see reliability, which leads to retention of employees and definitely loyalty. Again, as I said in the beginning, I'm going through this kind of quickly, so I'm not covering everything and anything. So next, I will address benefits to the various organizations. Now, the organization provides dependable products and services, okay? They are consistent in their performance. They're diminishing the various problems that they have or issues that they have in the organization. And definitely by maintaining quality, they need to adapt the concept of the continuous improvement. And that leads them to building a competitive advantage. And of course, the company grows, develops, and expands. Next, along with continuing with organizations, the company becomes more profitable. It enhances shareholders and all stakeholders' values. It improves innovation because, again, when you maintain quality, you need to keep on becoming innovative and creative at all times, which leads to higher productivity, as Demin said, and we'll talk about him in a few minutes. And of course, it enhances the market, the company's image on the market, higher profitability, higher profits, which again reduces costs as well. But the employees benefit from quality as well, folks. It's not just the customers and the company, the employees benefit from it also. And you'll see that the quality brings back customers, therefore they make more profits, therefore the employees have their jobs. The customers are happy, the employees are happy. Excuse me. Oops. Time for this. So along with the happiness goes the loyalty of the employees. Now they know that the company flourishes, so they stay with the company. Excuse me. And of course, they make the customers happy as well. Higher business activity leads to more hires and retention of actual talent. And of course, employee turnover is diminished. again, these are only some of the benefits. Obviously, the company becomes more profitable, which leads to job security for the employees. Speaking of the employees' benefits, okay, it improves the employee morale and, of course, all shareholders, and improves innovation because now the employees are happy. They'll try to apply what else, what if, what else can I do? How can I improve this? Okay, which leads to higher productivity, higher profits, and everybody's happy. But there are also benefits to society, folks. When a company produces products or services of quality, then the business remains open. You don't see that sign, sorry, we're closed. You see that sign, we're open. We're happy to accommodate you, okay? People are employed. People are making money. They buy things from other businesses. The company pays taxes. Crime is reduced. And there are, again, an array of additional benefits that I just don't have the time to get to them now. But at least I gave you the four major areas: the employees, the company, the society, and and the organization, okay, as how they benefit from it. Now, one thing that we need to do when we try to implement quality is measure. Because if you don't measure where you are, set a goal where you want to be, identify the gap in between, and try to fulfill that gap as effectively and efficiently and quickly possibly as you possibly can, then you're not doing anything. So measurement is important. And I want you to remember this: performing without measuring is definitely unacceptable. And measuring without, performing without measuring, it's a lost cause, okay? So quality addresses a number of areas. However, the three areas are the most important, and we'll address those today. That is waste, defects, and efficiency. Okay, we'll concentrate on those three areas today. Again, my email address there for you as well, okay? Now, how do we achieve quality? There are several quality gurus who have spent their lifetime on implementing and teaching us quality. And I have at least their names and pictorials here. Please, please, please take a screenshot of this and go research some of these people. They've said so many good things, so many valuable things about quality it's the best lectures, the best information you can possibly find is with these people. Out of all these, however, or in that era where these people appeared, there was another one who really marked my life and my professional career very positively, and that was Edward Deming. I was fortunate enough to attend some of his lectures in early 80s. And Deming, as far as I'm concerned, and most of the world is concerned, is that's why I have it in capital, the quality guru that people should follow. Obviously, he said a number of things. Actually, he revamped the whole country, Japan, and we can talk about it at a later time. But one of his main presentations, main things, was his PDSA cycle, where basically he says you need to plan, you go on and do what you plan to do, and then you study, meaning you analyze what you did, see what you need to improve, see what mistakes you made, if any, and then you act by correcting, improving, continuous improvement, remember? Okay, and then you start that cycle again. Plan, do, study, act. Plan, do, study, act. Actually, one of the things that he mentioned a lot in his presentations, I remember he gave a presentation very similar to what I'll show you right now, is you got to have a purpose in life. And of course, folks, that's not only true with quality. It's true with just about everything and anything in life. But I remember an example that he gave similar to this, and I modified it to what you'll see next. Presume that you are on vacation in this little village in an island, and behind that ocean, that blue ocean, right behind, do you see my cursor? Do you see what I'm showing? Okay, right behind that little mountain, there's a location that you have heard about and looks like this. And that is where you really want to go to. So you go down to the port, you grab the first boat that you see that does this trip, and your intent is to go to that location. Remember, this location, this place, this paradise in essence. So now you're down at the port, you got on the boat. The captain comes up to you and says, "Hello, Chris. Hello, Peter. How are you today?" What do you want to ask the captain? What do you want to know from the captain? How many lifesavers the boat has? Not really of your concern, right? How fast the boat goes? Again, who cares? How old the boat is? What's the horsepower of the boat? Not really. I don't think so. I don't think that you're interested in that information. What you want to know from the captain is, how's that location, Captain? Tell me more about it. That's where we're going to. So have a purpose in life, and quality many times fulfills many of the purposes that people have. A global organization called Gallup, you probably know them. They're global. It's a global organization. Addressed a major issue that we have in business, which affects quality directly, and that is the engagement of employees into a business. And they identified 3 areas: people who are engaged, people who are disengaged, and people who are actively disengaged. Wow, 3 categories there. And more specifically, under the engaged category, folks, they found people who are positive, enthusiastic about the business. They try to contribute whatever the business goal is. They participate. They're team players. By the way, you know what team means, right? TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. And then the next category that they identified was people who were disengaged. The disengaged people have the following characteristics. They're indifferent. They do minimal work. They're apathetic. They're there to collect a paycheck. They don't care about the business. Basically, they say, give me what you want me to do. I'll do it. 5 o'clock, my shift is over. I'm out of here. 5:01, I'm out of here. Even if the job is not done, I don't care. I'm out of here. Okay, so these are the disengaged people. And as we discussed this, I bet many of you have people who come to mind, but the third category, my friends, is the one that really, really needs to be addressed, and that is the disengaged, the actively disengaged people. They are negative. They don't care about the business. The first opportunity they find, they're out of there. They even badmouth the organization. They have their resume already, and the first opportunity they find, they leave you. Sometimes they don't even give you notices. Now, these are the 3 categories. What is even most amazing, folks, is that the percentages of people who fall in those 3 categories are amazing. The first one has only 30%. The disengaged has 50, and the actively disengaged has 20. So if you take the last 2 columns and the last 2 numbers, 50 plus 20, 70% of the people somehow are either disengaged or actively disengaged. And that is the responsibility of a manager who believes in quality to bring these people to the other side and increase that 30%. So basically, the name of the game, if you want to have quality, is engagement. Okay. Let me see it. I see a question here they told me. Oh, no, it's hello, thank you, good. Okay, folks, that's nice to know your names. Thank you of your comments. But again, if you have any questions, please write them. Okay, so now let's roll up the sleeves and dive into a little more concrete definition of things about quality. Okay, now, excuse me, the 3 areas that we will address next is what they call Mura, Muri, and Muda. Let me remind you that that is, and of course, many of you know, like Chris and a few others know, that this is the Japanese terminology about waste, overturn, and being overburned and being overworked in business, okay? Muda, waste, okay? Now, why do we have this terminology here? How can I say this? I'd like to address what Deming did with the Japanese back in the late 50s and 60s and what happened thereafter. But let me address these topics first, and if we have time, we'll do this at the end. But that terminology, again, comes from the Japanese terminology. So along with that, we'll also cover Ford's philosophy. Ford, yes, the guy that invented Ford Motor Company, automobile company. Then we'll talk about the Japanese philosophy and a few things that they do, the 5 S's, another specificity that the Japanese have about quality, and then we'll talk about visual organization, accuracy, and precision. And at the end, I'll take the last 15, 20 minutes to address some of my practices, some of the things that I've addressed that I bet you haven't seen or you're not going to see in any of the management or quality books. So bear with me, at least for that segment, okay? So, Mura, variability. What's wrong with variability? Well, you don't want to go to a store and see one product today, for the same product, different quantity, different quality, different situation, different presentation the next day. You want consistency. Muri means overburned people, overworking people, and we'll talk about maximization versus minimization further down today, is another problem, folks. Okay, overburned people. Look at this poor guy in the picture. It's not very clear, it's not crystal clear, okay, but it's still there. The message is there. The person is overwhelmed, overburned. And finally, you got muda or waste. And look at this person, how he's pouring a liquid into a bucket, but the bucket has holes and the liquid is spilled, okay? So it's waste of product in this case. So variability, overburning, and waste are the 3 things that we should be concerned, and we'll address the rest of the presentation around these 3 topics. Now, speaking of variability, let's say that you go to a place and you want to have an ice cream. Here in the States, one of the ice creams that people usually ask for is a banana split. You go to the place and you ask for a banana split, and that's what they give you the first day. Oh, you liked it, you go back the next day, and now they give you, again, for the same banana split, something different. And you're saying, oh, wait, what happened? Where's the banana split that I had yesterday? And then you go there the next day and they give you something different again. Now, do you really like that? You expect something else. May appear better, okay, but not necessarily. How about if you had consistency and all 3 times your banana split goes the same way? Now you walk into that place, you know exactly what to expect, okay? Here's another example. You go into a restaurant, you are asking for a double hamburger, okay? One time they offer it to you like that, the second time like this with French fries, and the second time they give you 2 as a double hamburger. What happened to consistency? Wouldn't you prefer have the same product so you know what you're getting day in and day out? And the last example that I have on this, because I believe that variability or irregularity is vitally important, is out of a business that I owned, dry cleaners. You go to dry cleaners, you give your shirts to be pressed, and then you get your shirts one day like that. Next week, you get them like that. The week after, you get them like that. I don't think you're going to be very happy. Okay, what happened to consistency? And that is what quality tries to improve or implement, and so on. Okay, now overburning, obviously, look at this poor guy. He's lifting 4 buckets of milk, whatever that is, and these people are stressed so much they can't even do their daily work. Again, quality addresses that. As a matter of fact, here I have something that will probably hit home even better, Every company, folks, is concerned with what we call its financial bank, its financials. And along with the financials, an organization is concerned with biological and emotional issues. And of course, all of them affect the financials and affect each other. And it's a vicious circle there that comes around and affects all three of them. But the emotional factor, folks, that the employees go through is what affects their performance the most. And the quality gurus addressed that multiple times in several different ways. And they said, avoid that overburn, avoid that stress of the employees. Now let's move on to waste, or muda, okay? Personally, I like abbreviations, and this one I did not develop. I'll tell you the ones that I've developed, okay? And this one I borrowed from somebody, and to identify the 8 most common areas of waste, they came up with trim good. Just like you trim wood to make it look good, okay, remember, trim good. And here are the categories of trim good, okay? Transportation, redundancy, going back and forth for the same thing, okay? Or resources are ineffectively used, underutilized. Inventory. By the way, I have in a parenthesis inventory as a liability. I hope somebody will ask why, and I will explain that in the form of the questions, or if I have time at a later, towards the end of the presentation. But remember, inventory by accountants and other financiers is considered as an asset, and it is an asset. In our view, from quality's point of view, I look at inventory as a liability. I'll explain that later. Motion, moving, okay, redundancy, as I said before, waiting for the product to arrive, waiting for the product to come, okay, or you're producing too much, or you're over processing it. All these are causing waste of time, effort, money, and of course, they don't add any value to the final product, to what the customer wants to pay for, or what the customer wants in general. So trim wood, okay? Excuse me. Moving right along, Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Company. He developed a technique, folks, simplified things by saying can do. The abbreviation, again, it's his, okay, not mine, can do. In other words, clean up, arrange things around, make them appear as neatly as possibly, have discipline, and you've got to believe on continuous improvement. That can do is what the Japanese took and converted to the 5 S's, the so-called sort, straighten, shine, standardize, and sustain. Let me mention here a little story about Ford and the Japanese, because when Deming went to Japan in the 50s and 60s and trained them on quality, and they implemented quality, we all know what happened to the automobile industry and other industries as well here in the States in the 70s and 80s. So in early 80s, Ford Company sent a small group of executives to Japan to find out what is that they're doing, that they're performing such quality products, such quality automobiles. When the American delegation arrived there and asked the question, the Japanese told them, we follow the Bible. And they were surprised. They said, Bible? What does the Bible have to do with it? Yeah, we follow the Bible. What Bible? The Bible that we have for our business. He says, can we see that? And of course they said yes. So they showed them the Bible, their Bible, and guess what? It was Henry Ford's operational manual. They followed it. We discarded it, we threw it away, and this is in Ford's memorabilia. If you search for the company, you will see that legend, that story as one of the true stories that woke up, made Ford wake up and realize what they were doing. So the 5 S's that the Japanese took, basically what they're saying is, hey, sort out things and organize them. Look at the before and after, okay? Obviously, I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. Organizing, labeling things and so on definitely helps. Look at this library or bookcase, not library, the bookcase, okay? You can't find anything here, but you can definitely find whatever book you want there, okay? Moving on, shine. Look at the before and after, again. So if you want quality, you've got to do those things. You got to make things visible. Here we have, and I bet many of you have your tools on the wall, and look at the way the hammer is right now, okay? Obviously, there is a pictorial behind the tool, and if you look at the next one, the hammer is now gone, which means somebody's using it, so you know what's missing. Basically, we do the same thing with the wrenches, and what I've implemented with my clients, folks, is I have a table right on the top of the desk. I mean, I have a paper on top of the desk, a form that says, what is this tool? Who is using it? And what time is that going to come back? So you know, if you need one of these tools, you'll know when it's coming back. Obviously, we talked about the purpose, and I gave you the example of that beautiful place that you want to vacation, okay? So another thing that the Japanese, actually Ford, said originally was make things visible. Simplify the workers' work, the employees' work. Identify the targets for improvement. And I bet many of you have seen these lights in cashiers, for instance. And of course, we use them in production environments as well. If a cashier's cash register and work is fine, the green light is lit. If there's an anticipation of a problem, for instance, the cashier may be running short on change, now he or she flips the yellow, so now the yellow flashes. So now the manager knows, oops, there's a potential problem, there goes, finds out what it is, and brings the cash, brings the change before the cashier runs out and stops working. And of course, if there's a problem, finally the red goes on. So now you know that you have an immediate problem to address, okay? Same holds true with our mailboxes, okay? If we have the flag lifted, the mailman knows that there's mail there for them to pick up, so they go and they pick it up. So you're signaling what is anticipated, so you don't have to waste time talking to people and so on. Well, some additional techniques that we address in quality is what we call Pokayoki, the Kaizen technique, the KPIs, the just-in-time that I won't have time to address today, and optimization. Now let's start with the Pokayoki. Again, I mean, this is Japanese terminology, but again, basically all it means is mistake proofing, error proofing, avoid mistakes. And that's what Pokayoki means, okay? Avoid mistakes, see the mistakes up front. Well, we all know that our USBs only go into our computer in a certain way, and it cannot go the other way. And if you force it the other way, you're gonna damage it. So it only goes in, if you want it to work, it only goes in a certain way. Same with different plugs, okay? It only goes in a certain way. And they have designed them as such to avoid problems, in this case, electrocution and everything else. I remember years ago, when I was a student, I was working in a gasoline station, and we had all the different types of covers of gasoline tanks there because people would forget them. And what the company did, they put a string now that is attached, the cap is attached so it does not leave the car. In addition to that, we used to have problems with the hose because they used to be between diesel and gasoline, they used to be the same size years back, okay? And many times people will make the mistake and pour diesel in a gasoline car, and that will destroy the car. So what do? They changed the size of the opening and the size of the hose. So now, if you want to put gasoline in your car, for instance, and you grab the diesel hose, it's not going to fit, it's not going to go in, so you'll realize that you have a mistake. So these are techniques that we have invented and implemented to avoid mistakes. Another area that quality believes in, folks, is continuous improvement. Again, the Japanese call it Kaizen, okay? And we have adopted that terminology here in the States as well. But again, remember, it all started, or at least most of it started with our quality gurus, Deming, Ford, and others. Kaizen deals with setting the expected level of quality. It reduces costs. It exceeds customer expectations. It improves productivity. And again, as I said, Kaizen stands for continuous improvement. So even if something is working well, try to enhance it. In other words, do not believe, do not adapt. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it works, keep on doing it. No, if it works, try to improve it, okay? And again, remember that we talked about measurement earlier today. KPIs refer to key performance indicators. How do you know that you're doing well? You set certain standards, let's say standard on productivity, certain units that you want to get out per day, per person, per department, per work cell, whatever the case may be. Is that met by the end of the period, whether it is an hour, a day, well, whatever the case may be? So you set your KPIs, and again, you measure, because we said performing without measuring is unacceptable, okay? So moving right along with the KPIs, we have, excuse me, the philosophy or the theory of minimization, maximization, and my philosophy of optimum. Quite a few economists, folks, are saying, use the minimum, go for the maximum. I'm sorry, but those two, in my view, don't go together. How can you possibly use the minimum, say, quantity of oil in your car and try to go the maximum distance, the maximum number of miles with minimum oil of quantity oil in your engine? You're going to burn it. It's not going to go. You need the optimum. How can you get the maximum out of your employees with minimum pay? It's not going to happen. You're going to lose them. Okay. So the ones who believe minimize input to maximize output, in my view, in my philosophy, doesn't work. But there is an optimum amount of oil that you can put in the car's engine, optimum number of work expectation that you want your employees to give you, optimum number of hours that you want people to work, and so on, optimum quantity that you want to deliver. Remember the overloading that we mentioned earlier? Okay, so between minimum, maximum, and optimum, go for the optimum, and that gives you the best. And now I'm going to get to some of the techniques that I've developed. And the very first one, folks, is system. I believe that in order to succeed, in order to accomplish what you want, you got to have a system. You got to be organized. And this, by the way, abbreviation I've developed, you can steal it, you can use it, be my guest, okay? And basically, what system, in my view, folks, means is a system. With a system, you save yourself significant time, effort, and money. Look at the abbreviation. Save yourself significant time, effort, and money. Here I have no questions, just hello from people. Good, okay, that's nice. Time for a little coffee. Okay, moving right along with the system, okay? An area that I address, folks, and I believe has been very problematic with many businesses is how we select supervisors in a business. Quite a few companies are doing this wrongly. So I will show you what I believe, what I've applied, and what my clients are doing, and they've been extremely happy. We're going to assume this scenario. Let's say that there is a manager of a specific department, whether it is a production environment, a merchandising environment, service environment, it doesn't matter, any and all environments. And this manager, let's say, has 20, 25 people under his or her supervision. The manager has to do schedules, assignment of work, time cards, payroll, compliance to the state, and so on. So he or she feels overwhelmed with all the work that needs to be done. So at some point, the manager says, you know what, I got to have an assistant. I got to appoint somebody as a supervisor. And out of the 25 people I have, I think that Joe should be my supervisor, should be my right hand, and appoints Joe as a supervisor. The remaining 24 people, however, eye Joe a kind peculiarly because they say, why Joe and not me? I know the job. I can do this myself. Why was he selected and not me? That's not, however, such a big issue. The bigger issue that may arise with Joe's appointment in this example is if the day that Joe was appointed as a supervisor to manage the floor, to manage the 25 people, if an argument arises, if an issue arises, what does Joe know how to handle that issue, whether it is a sexual harassment or violation of somebody's rights or whatever the case may be, whatever the issue may be? Okay, you have an issue on the floor. Can Joe really handle it? Does he really know how to handle those things? Well, basically, to understand what I'm saying, folks, is when you hire a new policeman, you don't tell the policeman, go down there and stop the riot the very first day. The policeman has to go through training. When you hire a fireman or a firewoman, you don't tell them, go down there and put that fire out the very first day. Again, that person goes through training. And after a while, they're ready to go. And of course, if somebody doesn't know how to swim, you just don't throw them in the deep end of a swimming pool and say, we'll teach you how to swim tomorrow. You go through swimming lessons. And definitely doctors who are to operate in a surgery, to do a surgery in an operations room, okay, go through training before you throw them there to do that operation. However, what do managers do? In most cases, they do what I mentioned with Joe earlier. So here's what we suggest, folks. We recommend that you open the issue to all 25 of your employees in this example. And you say, folks, I'm going to need a supervisor. I'm going to need an assistant. There will be, say, a month's training that this person will need to go through. And whoever wants to apply, whoever wants to go for it, submit your name. Now, let's say that you have 3 people who applied for that, Joe included. You can still appoint Joe if he passes the training, okay? However, look at the benefit now. Even the very first day that this person that you appoint to be a supervisor, he or she now is trained and knows how to handle the situation. In addition to that, you also have 2 other people. Remember, we said 3 people went through the training. You have 2 others, either to give Joe a day off, or if another department needs a supervisor, that person has been trained to do the supervisory work. And that is something that we recommend, and our clients have found that very, very effective. We call that qualifications training and eligibility list. So they go through the training that qualifies them to be supervisors, and then you have a list of eligible people to use as a supervisor anytime you want. Here's some more food for thought since we have a few more minutes. Folks, doctors in general diagnose before they prescribe a medicine to a patient, right? They diagnose. Attorneys study the case. They study the law. Peter knows his sister Maria is an attorney, and she studies each and every case, the opposition, the strategy, and everything else. Builders don't just go on and say, oh, here is some land, let's go on and build something. No, builders and architects study blueprints before they start digging and building a building. My question to you folks is, what do you do as managers? Oh, I'm a manager now, I can do anything I want. I can go in anytime I want. I can live anytime I want. As a matter of fact, the next slide refers to an example out of the sports family. When a practice starts 9 o'clock and the athletes are expected to come in at 9 o'clock to practice, what time do you think that the coach walks in? Definitely before 9. When practice finishes at 2 and the athletes leave, what time do you think that the coach leaves? I guarantee you, way after 2 o'clock. But with managers, oh, I'm a manager now. I got my people there. They know what to do. I've told them what to do. I can go in anytime I want. I can leave early. They don't need me anymore. If they don't need you anymore, I don't need you in my company. I'm sorry. Okay. So here are a few things. Here's another unusual thing that people are afraid to handle, and that is how we treat complaints. Here's a little story that I've put together for you. If you can tell, this person sitting down with the white hair, his phone is ringing off the hook, and he is the CEO and president, okay? CEOs and presidents set policies, vision, direction, objectives, and everything else for the business. And when he hears complaints, he tells the manager, I don't want to hear any more complaints. Go down there, take care of them. And the poor guy, the manager, simply because he wants to keep his job, says, yes, boss, I'll do it. Yes, boss. Okay, yes. However, isn't it ironic, folks, that the person who sets policy does not want to know what the complaints are about? What we train our people on is that complaints are blessings from the sky. Complaints are a red hot arrow that says, here's a problem, fix it. A person who complains is still giving you another opportunity to straighten out your act or else. So the person who complains, basically, in my view, is a free consultant. So welcome complaints. Obviously, you want the number of complaints to go down with time, but welcome them because they tell you, here's a problem, fix it. And most people, unfortunately enough, do not treat complaints this way, and they usually try to avoid them. Commitment in business from all people, from the president and the CEO all the way down to the frontline people, is vitally important. I don't know if you know the story of the chicken and the pig. I've mentioned it in previous presentations. And the legend goes as follows. One day, those two buddies were walking down the street and they see a sign. They see people on the sidewalks in a line waiting to go into a restaurant, to go into a place, and they see that the place was a restaurant. And they see the sign right on top, ham and eggs, very low price. And people were going there in, dozens, okay? And now the chicken says to his buddy, the pig, hey, buddy, we got everything. We got ham. You got ham. I got the eggs. Why don't we start our own restaurant? See, we're going to become rich. We're going to make money. Look at this restaurant. It has lines and lines of people selling ham and eggs. And the pig says, oh, no. Why not, buddy? Don't you trust me? We've been partners, friends for many, many, many years. He says, I trust you. I know you. You're my friend. But I'll be committed. You will only be a participant. So what are you in your business? Are you committed or are you just a participant? Remember that 30, 50, 20% of engagement, engaged, disengaged, actively disengaged from Gallup earlier? The engaged are the committed people. the others are not committed. So bring your people to the level to commit to what your business is and so on. And of course, my favorite example is usefulness. Do we make our people's lives useful, challenging enough for them to want to go to work, to look forward to going to work? And the example that I usually bring here, folks, is the following. If we actually, when I do this in a training room, I identify somebody who has a little child, like a 2-3-year-old child, and let's say that the baby's name is Dave. So I found out that this person has a child called Dave. And then I bring these two things up. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, Dave, as you can say, is in his play area. I'm going to present Dave with a $1,000 watch, and at the same time with a little car like this. So now I'm placing in front of Dave the $1,000 watch and the $1 toy. I'm asking you now, what do you think that Dave will take? The $1,000 watch or the $1 toy? Oh, people already replied, the toy, of course. Why? Peter, what do you think? Toy or car?
For sure, it'd be the car, but I would take the $1,000.
You're not 3-year-olds anymore.
Sometimes I feel I am, Doc.
Okay, you're right, Peter. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
see the same responses here too from people as well. Oh, Chris Allen. From Maryland, there it goes. Hello, Christopher again. So make your people's lives useful. Not only challenging, useful. Show them how they contribute to the bottom line. Now, myopic managers are afraid that, well, John, if I show them how they contribute to the bottom line, they're going to ask for more money. First of all, they may deserve more money, but not necessarily. People don't necessarily will go for more money. They may want more recognition. They may want a plaque. A friend of mine actually passed not too long ago, a multi-billionaire, Art Nilsson, from whom, again, I've learned plenty. If he did something, do you think that the $100 gasoline debit card will be beneficial to him? He's a multi-billionaire. He does not need that. But a plaque, a recognition would be perfectly fine for him. So make your people's life useful and show them how they contribute to the bottom line. Show appreciation for what they do. Speaking of appreciation, look at this next example that I have about trust in business. Let's examine this picture for a moment. Do you see this lady who has presented her purse to the security person because the company has implemented a policy? By the end of the day, I want you to, quote unquote, undress, open up your purses, open up your bags, and show me that you haven't stolen anything from the business. And now the security guy there inspects that person. Do you realize how degrading that is? How demoralizing that is? Instead of saying, thank you for giving me 8 hours of your life, 8 hours of work for my business, for my bottom line, for my profits. Thank you, I appreciate it. Have a good day. Instead of saying that, you're saying, I'm accusing you that you're a thief. You have stolen things from me, and you need to prove to me that you're not a thief in reality. Do you realize how demoralizing that is? And these are the things that we do, folks, in business without realizing that's, the negative impact that it has. Trust is a vitally important element. Actually, here's another example that I have about trust in life. How many of you take the elevator to go up to your office, to go up to a business? I don't know if you've ever gotten stuck in an elevator, but I have. And actually, it was between the 23rd and the 24th floor, and the elevator was going up and down, up and down. Trust me, that's not the best feeling to experience. Actually, I called my wife. I told her, remember, I love you. And then I called my attorney and I told him what happened because I thought I was dead. I would be dead. I would be gone when the elevator was going up and down, stop, up, down, stop, and so on. However, what I'm getting with these folks is the following. We take the elevators to go to our 5th, 5th, 10th, 20th floor every day, trusting the engineer who last repaired it, while we know absolutely nothing about his or her qualifications, the condition he or she was in the time of repairs, maintenance, or whatsoever, and we trust them with our lives, and we don't trust our employees. I'm sorry, but that's an oxymoron. That's not right. You got to build trust in your business. You got to bring people to trust you, and you got to trust them as well. Trust, a vitally important element in any business. And finally, in closing, we have these last two items to address shortly, very briefly: accuracy and precision. What do you go for? Do you go for accuracy or do you go for precision in business? What is accuracy? What is precision? Well, the examples that you have right there signify or identify the characteristics of each. Accuracy, it's the closeness to a specific target. Your target is the red star and you're all around it. So now you start measuring how far off are you, and some of them are on bullseye. Where this one is identified as precision. You're precise, but you're off target. You're precise, but you're there. So if you want quality, you've got to identify the areas that you want to achieve. Do you want accuracy, or are you concerned with precision, and so on? And as final element for today, actually we still have a couple of minutes, folks, and I'll address this final item, and then I'll go back to Deming in Japan if I could for a moment. And this final item, folks, has to do with your attitude in business. If nothing else from today's presentation, remember the following. Attitude is the most important element in doing everything and anything, whether it is a business environment, personal, family, or whatsoever. And attitude is like a flat tire. You cannot go anywhere until it is fixed. Remember that? Attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until it's fixed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you apply some of the things that we mentioned today in an hour, given that quality takes a lot of hours to address, you'll be safe, you'll be home, you'll be fine. Let me see if we have any more questions here, or any questions here. This is an excellent presentation. Mr. Allen, thank you for your nice comments. Appreciate that. Chris Allen, by the way, here's another. If we are leaders constantly exceed the expectations of the team will consistently, absolutely correct, Chris. Yes. As leaders, we consistently exceed the expectations of our team, just like we should exceed the expectations of our customers, yes. And folks, remember, people look up to you. To your subordinates, you are a role model. They don't hear what you say, they see what you do. And for that, let me play this with you. Presumably today I'm your leader since I'm doing the talking and you're listening, right? So I'm going to ask you to bring your right hand in this format right in front of your face. Can you do that? Okay. And now I want you to put it on your chin. Peter, do you have a chin up there? That's your forehead. Your chin is down here, my friend. Okay, and it's not only you, quite a few of them did the same mistake too. Why? Because they followed the leader. I said something, but I did something else. And they followed what I did, not what I said. I hope this brings home what Chris Allen, my dearest friend there, mentioned today. And yes, indeed, people will look up to you as a leader, as a role model, and they follow what you do, not necessarily what you say. Quite a few of you try to grow a chain up here, right? I hope you did, you don't. With that, unless I see any more questions, I don't see any others. Let me see how's the time. The timing is perfect. I guess it's, wow, exactly. We're on the hour. So might as well, let's bring it to a close here, unless anybody has any questions. You do have my email address. Please feel free to email me with questions, everything and anything that you need about the topics that I mentioned today. And by the way, when I mentioned earlier that my books are on Amazon, I did not mention that for you to buy them. If you want any of my books, go to Amazon, search for books, and then insert my name. You'll see. There you go. Peter already has mine. There you go, Peter. Thank you. And there you'll see 11 books of mine. Find out which ones you want. One you want. I'll send it if I can. If it's doable, in most cases it is. I will send it to you in an electronic form. I don't want you to buy the books. Okay. Bezos has made billions of dollars, so I don't want him to become any more richer off my books. I'll send them to you in a form. Oh, let's see here. We have the chat, and somebody has a question here. When is your next informative presentation? Email me. I'll let you know. Okay. We'll see. We'll set something up for you. All right, folks. Again, I can't thank you enough. Let me stop the sharing. Here we are now. I can't thank you enough for today's participation. I hope you walk away with something to take home. And with that, I love you. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Christopher, you take over.
Live stream has ended.
Okay. How about YouTube?